Okay, welcome back from the break. We're ready to continue on. And I think presenting initially is going to be our WCCA and our city. So if Mr. Ryman and Ms. Harpstreth could come forward. Mr. Fanning, I do want to hear from you today as well, so if you could be ready to come on up, sure appreciate it. Okay, we're here to talk about sales tax and direct distribution, and we'd like to hear from you first. Please introduce yourself for the public's sake, and go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jeremiah Riemann here on behalf of Wyoming County Commissioners. I appreciate your time and consideration of this topic. I will certainly make myself available for any questions that you might have. But Mr. Chairman, I did bring one of our esteemed county commissioners to just provide a little bit of perspective from the local level about the importance of direct distribution. And so with me is Platte County Commissioner Steve Shockley. He's the chairman of that Board of County Commissioners, and I'd ask that you welcome him here today.
Welcome to Appropriations, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you for taking this time to hear from me today. As Jeremiah said, I'm Steve Shockley, Chairman of the Platte County Commissioners. Local governments deliver where it matters. Cities, towns, and counties provide the essential services Wyoming residents rely on every single day, from public safety, infrastructure, to community services. We are the front lines ensuring Wyoming remains a place where families and businesses can thrive and offer a quality of life second to none. Direct distribution is a state-local partnership that strengthens communities. Through direct distribution, counties receive over $25 million annually, a vital investment that helps balance local budgets and maintain essential services. This partnership ensures stability for our communities and predictability for our residents. We are responsible, efficient, and proven stewards. We manage limited taxpayer dollars with transparency and efficiency, stretching every dollar to meet local needs without growing government. In Platte County, our budget this year was approximately $14.8 million. Of that, about $3 million were funds that were earmarked by the legislature for specific purposes such as 911 or SCARF. The remaining $11.8 million was used to deliver basic services like the 27 deputies that we employ to staff our jail and patrol our county to protect our citizens. We also have 10 road and bridge employees who maintain over 650 miles of road, and 6 dispatchers who answer 911 calls 24/7. Most of our spending is a result of legislative requirement, like issuing license plates, vehicle titles, recording land documents, and providing for a county library. Federal requirements such as requirements to provide health insurance to our employees are also a consideration in our budgeting. The only spending that Platte County partakes in that is not statutorily required is for a secretary for our Ag Extension Department, our county fair, our branch libraries in our 3 smaller communities of Guernsey, Glendo, and Chugwater, and our county planner. I say all of this to you because I believe Platte County has been a great stewards of our public's money, and to say we are at a point where any further reductions in funding will result in reductions to our workforce and our services. Over the last few budget, county employees have been asked to increase their percentage of contributions to their health care costs, which results in lowering their take-home pay. And in Platte County, this is a problem that we have keeping up with wages and filling these positions because we can't compete with the surrounding counties around us. We also have had to cut training and road maintenance and maintenance to our other county facilities. The local government request is a modest and strategic. For our county, this proposal allows us to move forward on key community priorities, investments that support local economies, improve infrastructure, and reflect shared state and local values. We've heard rumor that you may be considering a reduction in the local government proposal from 8% down to 5.76%, or the equivalent of the $105 million per biennium. This would have direct and measurable impact on Platte County. In dollars and cents, that represents an estimated loss to our county of approximately $214,500. This shortfall would force us to scale back and make significant decisions regarding our county fair, our libraries, and other things. Those cuts would, if we cut those programs, it would equate to about $322,000 from our budget. If we chose not to eliminate those positions, we would have to consider reducing staffing levels in other departments. Counties are not asking for more than their fair share. We're asking for resources to keep Wyoming communities safe, functional, and prosperous. Direct distribution is a proven, accountable investment that ensures local governments remain a strong partner in delivering for the people of Wyoming. Thank you, and I'd answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Any questions for Commissioner? Representative Harrelson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, it's good to have you here.
Thanks.
It's good to see a friendly face, or a local face, local and friendly face. Can you talk to us just a little bit about the battle we're fighting with pay for deputies and kind of the battle we're fighting with trying to keep and maintain our deputies?
So yeah, in Platte
Shockley.
County, we have a real challenge of budgeting salaries that compete with neighboring counties such as Laramie County, Converse County. We'll send those folks to the academy, get them trained up, and as soon as they get certified, they move on to where there's better pay. And it's not only with our sheriff's deputies, it happens on our Wheatland PD. So it is a challenge. Dispatchers are the same way.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Ashley Harpstreet. I'm the Executive Director for Wyoming Association of Municipalities that represents 99 cities and towns that are the fabric of our state. And we are just here to answer questions as needed. I think you've heard our plea and presentation, and I think the commissioner did a good job of putting a point on, any reduction, what this looks like for us. This proposal really helps us understand reliable, sustainable funding, especially as we have taken cuts, not just from, we're not talking property tax, we're talking food tax exemption, severance tax reductions, federal mineral royalty reductions, and losing programs like the consensus block funding that used to help us with really large infrastructure projects over the last 25 years.
Okay. Any questions? Ms. Harpstreet. Senator French, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A steady stream of revenue through this is good, but what are you going to do when, if the economy takes a real downturn and you had X amount of dollars and suddenly you're 25% less? Are you going to come back to the state, or are you just going to absorb it and wait for times to get better? What are your thoughts on that?
Ms. Harpstreet.
Mr. Chairman, Senator French, I think that's an excellent question and one that I think this group is challenged with every day. Being elected and running a government is no easy task, and you guys are fortunate to have sharp studies like Don Richards, who can help you guys forecast through things like the Craig and watching the economy. I would say our municipalities are doing the same thing, where there are things in the rear that help us pat ourselves for moving forward, and if we see a turn in the economy, we're going to have to turn with it, just like you will at the state level.
Go ahead. Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator French, Ashley's correct in this. I think that's a conscious thing that we understand with the proposal that's before you. It's not that different, frankly, from when we saw reductions in overall state revenue just a number of years ago, where the governor actually proposed reductions to direct distribution. We understand the economy is going to have ups and downs, and this will give at least some more predictability about what that looks like. It also gives us the ability to take part in some of those increases that you might see as a result of sales and use tax. So we understand that it's going to go both ways, but it's frankly not that different than the way that you've been appropriating direct distribution for the last 25 years.
Follow up? Okay. Further questions? Chairman Shockley, I have a question for you. Are you familiar with your county's property tax increases, if you had any, over the last several years? We've seen a real, increase across the state, but I don't know what your county has experienced as far as property tax value assessments going up during that period, basically from 2019 to today. If you could share with us really where your county's at.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Our values have increased over the last few years. The thing about property tax, a big portion of that goes to our special districts, our fire districts, our hospital districts, our senior citizens districts. When we're talking about property tax reductions, it hurts them worse than it does us. We have other revenue streams that they don't have. But yeah, our values have increased.
Do you have an idea percentage-wise what you've seen for your homeowners?
Not right off the top of my
And
head.
I think, you're absolutely right about special districts, that type of thing. We know that typically across the board, 70% of it goes to the school districts too.
Yeah.
So.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be able to find it if you
Okay.
give me a few minutes.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can just send it to me. Is there any other interest across the committee for that information? If not, I'll just ask you to send that to me. It'd be just a little bit of helpful. All right. Any questions for
I guess.
cities, counties, towns?
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. So I want to follow up on Senator French's question. Obviously, you like this mechanism because it gives you reliability of being able to look into the future. But that is a legitimate question. If we have another COVID, there are a number of scenarios that I could see where, while you take advantage of, and rightfully so, of a boom in the economy, you could be also facing a real shortfall in some other instances. And so the question is, are you going to just take the hit, or are you going to come to the state?
Mr. Riemann?
Mr. Chairman, Co-Chairman Salazar, it's a fair question. I think it all depends on a whole lot of factors that are well beyond our ability to give to you today. COVID was a rather unique circumstance, and as you heard from Mr. Richards this morning, certainly we saw a lot of federal funding come in, and that made a difference. In that scenario, we may have had to come to the state regardless of what our tax systems look like, because we needed additional support to just maintain things, because it was beyond the ability of local governments. I think part of the answer depends on what reforms are made to property taxes and other tax systems, et cetera, over time. I think that the reality of why we have direct distribution is that local governments are in part dependent on the state because of our tax system and the levers that have been pulled. And I don't know how to unwind that other than to afford local governments different taxing authorities that we don't have right now.
Follow? Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Richards, probably going to need to answer this, but I'd like input from the two of you as well, if you want to opine on this. But we have the Madden formula that's really supposed to help certain counties, certain cities, and if I'm not wrong, I think your county is one of those hardship counties, sir, that probably, I'd like to know, Mr. Richards, does Platte County receive a little bit different weight as far as the county distribution portion of the direct distribution based on the Madden formula? And when was the last time the Madden formula was tweaked, if you will, or has it ever been tweaked? And if you two have answers to any of that, please opine as well. Mr. Raymond, did you want to comment? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, as it relates to the hardship counties under the Madden formula, those for 2025, for your edification, are Bighorn, Crook, Goshen, Hot Springs, Niobrara, Platte, Washakie, and Weston. And just for the public's understanding, those are counties that are not able to raise at least $300,000 per mill. So they all assess less than that per mill. And so they do receive a benefit as it relates to the Madden formula to try and bring them to some equal level. In terms of the county formula, we have not seen a change to that in my time at the association, which is coming up on 7 years. With the exception, there was 1 year where you gave a bonus to hardship counties. But I will say that the counties are not asking for any changes to the existing Madden formula. In fact, my predecessor in this position, when it was last changed, had to go on what he called the apology tour to a few counties for the changes that resulted, Sweetwater County being one of those that lost in that equation. So we, as a group, are very comfortable with where that formula sits today and would ask that, at least for the county portion, you not change that.
Okay. I do recall we had lots of conversations in the last session about those hardship counties, especially when we were talking about backfill for the property tax reduction. And there were two other counties that we added in because they were close to the $300,000 per mill number. What were those two and how far off were they?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, counties can go in and out of hardship status. So if a county starts collecting more than $300,000 per mill, they fall out of that particular status. I won't be able to tell you the second county that fell into this category, but for Senator Driscoll, Crook County is one of those counties that in 2024 was actually out of hardship status. Kind of see that as a good thing, because that means that they were collecting additional revenues elsewhere, so they didn't need that additional support that year. That's not to say they didn't lose something, but yes, there are counties that occasionally drop in and out. I will tell you that a couple of years ago when I found that Crook, and I want to say it was Bighorn that was in that grouping, when they moved out, I looked at whether we shouldn't change the level from 300,000 per mill up to a level that was maybe in the middle of the next group of counties. And I will tell you, and I've tried this a number of times to break the Madden formula or fix it, it doesn't work. It caused all sorts of rippling effects, and that's why we don't come to you with any request to change it.
Okay. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeremiah, did the homeowner tax exemption move anybody in or out of hardship because of the 25%?
Mr. Chairman, it's a good question that I don't know that I have the answer for. Certainly Crook's reduction in property tax collections were less, but I don't know if that actually had a impact on the per mill levy. But I'll try and get you that answer.
Mr. Richards, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to the discussion here?
Maybe one minor addition to Mr. Reeman's comments. The local municipal formula has been changed, and that is commonly referred to as the beep-out amendment to the Madden formula, where he increased the base amount for small communities. And that was put into place for like Emblem and Byron and Hartville, very small communities, to give them more of a flat distribution. And I think he increased it by 10,000 for the smallest communities and 15,000 for the middle communities. And when I say smallest communities, I'm talking about Lost Springs and Van Tassel, less than 10 FT, or 10 population. So very small communities.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Any other comments about that? Did you want to opine on that at all, Harsh? Ms. Harsh?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think that Mr. Ryman did a wonderful job of summarizing that. Again, for us, it's just about the stability and, predictability. Even in uncertain times, we all know that, tomorrow's not promised. And so we're prepared to deal with those swings. As far as those small communities, just a reminder on a community like Lost Springs, I saw a couple of you chuckle about, 10 people. The reason that those areas are incorporated is because it's around a water system to publicly fund infrastructure that they cannot afford on their own. So sometimes it's a Rochambeau of who's going to be mayor. But that's, where our inverted business case as the lowest populated state comes into play, and where we have to kind of be partners more so than another state and local authority of providing that infrastructure, if that makes sense.
Thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Harpstreet. We've had some discussions in our management audit committee about these small communities and they're being able to get their reports done and pass an audit. Do you see any intersection in what we're doing here and that effort?
Mr. Chairman, absolutely. I think, again, predictable funding for them to be able to predictably hire people. And then we're also working on programming to help them with making sure they know how to submit an F66. And these small communities, talent is low. We're looking at crowdfunding clerks and CPAs for them so that if they don't have that talent in their community, we can make sure that they have what they need for resources to get done and stay off the bad list. We're working really closely with the Department of Audit, along with the Ombudsman on Open Records, which I know is a different can of worms, but if they're having troubles, that's why our associations exist, is to make sure they get those resources to help them comply with state statute.
Okay. And are you exploring opportunities, or is it too difficult to hire, pool those resources for small towns within your organization or within the County Commissioners Association for their, I guess it's probably not an issue for counties, is it? The 23 counties?
Mr. Chairman, yes, we're standing up a municipal finance division for them for that exact reason. That will be effective January 1st, so we hope that next year we're off that naughty list and can work more proactively and help them be more proactive and provide that consistency as people come in and out, or talent moves in and out.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Did you want to say anything? I think I figured it out. You probably don't have an issue in this regard.
No,
on
Mr.
23
Chairman, we
counties.
do. I think that it's something that we contemplate. We don't have anything now, but I think there are programs that we do occasionally consider: health insurance, IT services, and cybersecurity, and how we protect counties. How do we partner with the state? So those are very much things that we are looking at, or I'm thinking about for our association or for partnerships and collaboration.
Okay. Very good. All right. Anyone else for the cities and counties? All right. Well, thank you all. We may call you back up, so stay close by. And I'd like to have the Department of Revenue come forward. And are there any other state departments that want to opine on this particular issue? Anyone from the executive branch, okay? Mr. Fanning, I think we're just going to have you in the hot seat for a moment. I know you didn't have anything that you necessarily wanted to share with us, but as I look at this, this is going to be a change in how you distribute. I don't think your department uses the Madden formula at this point. Are you the ones that send the money out to the cities and counties for that? Who does send that money out?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Brett Fanning, Director of the Wyoming Department of Revenue. Mr. Chairman, you're correct. We do not do the calculations behind the Madden formula. That's done by a different state agency. And I do think that Mr. Richards would have some really good insight on how that money flows after it leaves the Department of Revenue.
Okay. Mr. Richards, would you just share with the committee and the public how that money is distributed via the Madden formula out to the cities? Counties?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think Mr. Ryman indicated that it is a volatile formula. It changes every year, even though you appropriate it on a biennial basis. So you make one appropriation, but the amount with fiscal year 1 and fiscal year 2 can change. And just to supplement a prior comment, I did identify Bighorn County arguably did fall into the hardship because of the exemptions. In the prior year, it was not, and in the most recent year, fiscal year 26, it is. It could have to do with other issues as well. They had a decline in oil production, for example, and that's part of their property taxes. Once the latest information is available, sales tax information, as well as property tax information, and every 10 years, the decennial census, then the Office of State Lands makes the number crunching to determine what each municipality and county's share is. Historically, we have had a nice cooperative relationship where they share their file with us in June, roughly, and we have an opportunity to check that against our estimates. And then the payments are made, half of a year's payment is made on August 15th, and the second half is made on January 15th. So in this year, municipalities and counties have received 1/2 of their fiscal year 26 allotment, and they will get the second half in a few months in January. OSLI is the formal holder of the model. Just like every executive branch agency, the Department of Education holds the K-12 model, but you historically have allowed LSO to work with those agencies in terms of their calculations.
Thank you. Any questions about the formula? Okay. Mr. Fanning, there's a lot of moving parts right now in our revenue committee. And one of the things that's being proposed, and this is a little bit off topic, but while I've got you here, I just wanted to ask you this. There's discussion about reducing property taxes considerably and replacing it with a portion of sales tax, which this right here would be affected by that. So trying to keep our thumb on all these moving parts at the same time. One of the things that, and I think I've asked you this before, but I've not seen any kind of data on a dynamic study. If we were to increase the sales tax, what the behaviors would be across the state and what would be the actual increase in revenue from such a thing. And so my question to you is do we have the capability to do such a dynamic study? Is it something we would hire somebody outside of the Department of Revenue to do that? Is it difficult to do such a study from your perspective? And what would it cost to do such a study? And how long would it take to get the results of such a study?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can provide a little bit of insight on that. As far as the depth of some sort of dynamic study, it is probably best done by a different state agency or another economic development or economic analysis company that is well versed in how to do those studies. That being said, we do have some reasonable examples on how raising taxes influence economic behavior. One of the examples that comes to mind specifically recently is the city of Casper recently passed a municipal option tax. Within the city of Casper, let me back up. So historically, for as long as I can remember, Natrona County had been 5% sales tax, total pennies. Well, the city of Casper just went up to 6% pennies. You do some quick math there behind the napkin, that's a 20% increase in that sales tax rate. It really is. And how did economic behavior change in that respect? I was actually asked this question, that's why it comes up to the top of my forefront. Didn't see any decrease in the amount of revenue that's collected. That being said, there's a lot of external factors that just behind looking at sales tax distributions come into play there. But at least anecdotally as well, in what I'm hearing from all of your constituents was that most of the folks are still continuing their same buying and purchasing power just like they had been. Another current example that I have is Fremont County. They just went from 5.5% back down to 5%. They voted not to renew their economic development tax. If we look at it in economic principles, you would think we would start seeing more demand. Things are cheaper. That analysis is a little more harder to do because that percentage is a lot less in decrease. And again, we're in Wyoming. We just heard Mr. Richards and Director Hibbard give a great presentation on how there's a lot of factors involved in these economic decisions. But we do have a couple different areas where we can look at sales tax distributions and we've had increases in rate. Another example, Teton County. Okay, Teton County just went from 6% up to 7%, and now is our highest sales tax rate in the state of Wyoming. That's another substantial increase in the actual rate. Teton County is unique, as we all know, a variety of instances. Property, sales tax, dependent on tourism. When the folks in this room or the folks overseas are coming to visit our beautiful national parks, do they check if it's 6% versus 7%? Okay, so again, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if that helps. The Department of Revenue can partner with LSO to look at some of those trends and some of those factors, but really that in-depth analysis is probably from the outside.
Thank you, Director Fanning. I would say that we need to start getting our ducks in a row to conduct such a study in the near future. Not sure what's going to happen in this upcoming session, but I can say that there's been a couple of sessions now where this has been proposed, and there's probably going to continue to be more and more pressure. And I do like the idea of you partnering with LSO to at least get some initial ideas, but I think we should probably take your advice on looking at some outside sourcing for a real study. What I liked about your two examples, they're both kind of in the middle of the state, landlocked, if you will, but because of that, it's pretty easy to see that most purchasers, most consumers would not go to another community. Now, the Jackson Hole, it would be easy to cross the border, and in that case, you'd want to look at, what are the opportunities outside of that community? And I can imagine that if there's been changes in sales tax on other border communities, it's probably going to be a different story than what it would be in Casper or Fremont County. So good that you have that information. I appreciate you sharing that with us off the top of your head. I know it's a little bit off topic, but it's important that this committee is really thinking about all these different dynamic things that are happening as we move forward with our work. So thank you for that information. And I would encourage you, I'll certainly encourage our staff to work with you to start looking at, what would it take to do a study to really understand if we were to replace some of our property taxes with a sales tax. And I think we need to look at what that's going to do to things like this effort that we're working on right now, because it could have an impact there. It'll definitely have an impact on local communities' ability to raise or lower their, it's going to have an impact on if they're looking to make another penny for some other project they're working on, it's going to affect that as well. So somehow we need to start gathering all that data and making getting the data together so we can make better decisions in the future. So if you could help spearhead that effort, I would really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Chairman. And we do have a lot of that analysis already done as far as the replacing property taxes with sales tax, just based on some proposed legislation over the past few years. So we do have a lot of analysis done on, okay, how much would a penny raise? And how much is that going to supplement a reduction in property tax? How do we get those to the correct districts, jurisdictions? All challenges that we've at least got our feet wet.
Very good. The data that you have, though, is really not dynamic, isn't it? It's much like what you kind of saw there in Casper, where they increased it 20%, and they saw, I think I heard you say that they basically saw a 20% increase in revenue after that increase. Did I hear you accurately in that regard? And is that a good description of the data that you have?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thanks for allowing me to clarify. So when we took a look at the analysis for the first 2 months that the city of Casper had its municipal option, we did not see a substantial decrease in the amount of revenues that we were seeing in Natrona County as a whole. So the intent of that discussion was to say, hey, there was a big increase in the biggest city in that county, and we didn't note anything material as far as reductions in other tax revenues in that same area.
Okay, so it's really not even as detailed as what I just described, but just generally you didn't see people exiting the city to make purchases.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Okay. Any questions for Director Fanning? Go ahead, Mr. Co-Chair.
I want to commend you for you and the team that you have and what you're doing. You've always been responsive to me and my constituents, and I've heard about it, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chairman, absolutely, you're most welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. We appreciate you answering questions, even if they didn't have to do with the particular bill that we were working on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. All right, do we have anyone else in the room that would like to opine on this particular issue? Mayor, we have a mayor here. Do you care to opine on this? Okay, thank you. All right. All right, do we have anyone online? Well, goodness gracious, we've gotten all the way through this issue quite quickly. We are not going to do directives until tomorrow on this. That'll give us an opportunity. I think we're going to get together and have a little huddle, and I'm going to ask our staff to talk to us about some of the things that we heard from the chairman of the Platte County Commission today. So we're going to take that very seriously and discuss amongst ourselves if there's something that could be done before we give the staff directives on that. Other than that, is there anyone in the committee that would care to make any comments before we close this out? Yes, go ahead, Representative Sherwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder here as we debate this issue, there is also the consideration of the loss of income from the food, not our groceries not being taxed, right? And so as we're talking about historic numbers and direct distribution and what percentage equals that average, also making sure that we don't forget the lost revenue and where that fits in with the equation of replacing direct distribution. So just a reminder.
Maybe you could help me understand a little bit.
Okay.
So we haven't had a grocery tax for some time
Since
now.
2007, I think, is the number here. And
Help
so
me
when
un-
we're,
Help me understand, Representative Sherwood, what you're
thank
getting
you.
at there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for being a little vague here. And so in June, when we started talking about this issue and this idea of the state giving up some of their share of sales tax in lieu of then direct distribution, so increasing, the proposal was at 8% to our local government and municipalities. The numbers here we're playing with is like what historically has been the direct distribution range. So between 105 and 110 million a biennium, so 55 million a year. The other number that's in play here is essentially what was lost in 2007, that the state said that they would backfill, and then we never did, is that sales tax exemption on food, which with inflation today, that would be around $33.4 million. So we're looking at a number of $55 million a year plus that $33.4 million that would completely offset both the direct distribution going away and then fulfilling our promise to backfill that sales tax exemption on food. So two numbers that I'm playing with. Right now, the 8%, if we said, okay, we're gonna do 8% shift, that's $77 million a year. That's less than the historic average for direct distribution and offsetting the grocery tax exemption.
Yes, thank you for your clarification. Any other comments? Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn today. The House has or members of the House are going to be conducting a press conference in the Rotunda later this evening. I think that starts at 5 p.m., so everybody's invited to that. If you'd like to come and hear us talk about what we're thinking about the budget in the near future. Other than that, we'll go ahead and adjourn, and we'll be back here, I think, is it 8 or 8:30 tomorrow morning? 8:30 tomorrow morning. We are adjourned. Thank you all.